in the desert anymore, at least.
I posted that for you, Tarek, in the D&D channel.
Oh, you're not in the desert anymore, at least. So, after your adventure inside of the tomb, you made your way back to Jannar, beaten and wary, but victorious. You set your sights on the island of Cyprus and started thinking of ways to get there. It seemed that Janara, with all of the salamanders now having passed on, did not really have a purpose for the Magi anymore and had disbanded the pack. She had her own reasons for heading towards Cyprus and offered to let you hitch a ride with Captain Armos. You boarded that vessel.
It was a shitty vessel, by the way,
Yeah,
Rupert.
just this little puddle jumper, just for running goods. Didn't even have a single cannon.
Or a poop deck.
Or,
We've made it a poop deck.
yeah, there was a poop deck involved. On your journey across the Spirian Sea here, you came across a destroyed vessel that was on its way to sinking. Curious, the warlock turned into a little snake, and the Aarakocra flied over to check things out. Upon arriving, the entire crew had been slain, down to the last man. Your cleric, wanting answers, decided to play around a little bit with the cycle of life and death, and go and ask the dead captain a few questions.
It was a bad idea.
Yeah. She stuck her head down into the endless river and found the captain's ship, and asked him questions, learning that the destruction was wrought by a pirate by the name of Helfang. Upon returning to the original vessel, helmsman Smiley definitely recognized that name, and Janara certainly recognized that name as well. Pressing onward, you landed in Cyprus, parting ways with the wolffolk Janara, who said that she was on her way to Torts to put together a new crew and begin sailing again. You landed in the city of Lepithos on Cyprus, beginning to find out where the crystal was, the one that resembled the one you found under the Dragonfall Church and the one inside of the desert structure. The people of Lepithos seem to be up in a bit of a celebration. There was a big momentous event happening. You quickly gathered your things and found an inn, the Pristine Feather. You stowed away your goods and set out to find out what everybody was celebrating about. Came to light quickly that the people of Cyprus were celebrating a major step on their way to being an independent people. It seems a chancellor from Babol was here, and he had offered out a deal that would cede Babol's land claim on the island, leaving only Sintra as the only region claiming this land. The only thing that Cecil had wanted in return was a priceless artifact from the Aarakocra village. The general sentiment was that the trade was something priceless for something priceless. Freedom for history. After a bit more searching around, you saw a familiar face in the crowd. You saw Vanessa Florentine, Spotting his chance, Smiley stepped up and began to dance with her. She seemed to open up to Smiley and let him know that she was there with her uncle on political business. Her uncle, Cecil Florentine. They were staying in this inn called the Pristine Feather. Rather enchanted by Smiley, she offered to have him walk around with her a bit. The very last thing that happened before we left off was the crowd of partiers had started chanting Cecil's name as you saw him emerge.
And there's a snake in a backpack.
Oh yes, there is a snake
Oh,
in
that's right,
Smiley's
yeah.
backpack. And I do believe that Lucy cast Locate Object, and
did.
you did.
Mhm.
And you got a inkling that the crystal was towards the Aarakocra village.
We can go steal it before they have a chance to give it to him.
Yes, the trade is
Let's
apparently going
see.
down at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Apparently, Camellia and Giaco are here too, but they are in a meeting with the representatives Octavia and Zanita.
And who? Sorry, you cut out.
Octavia and Zanita.
Okay.
What are we gonna do? It's the first day of August. What the damn hell, Bobby?
I think we left Rupert back at our inn
Yeah,
to
Rupert said
babysit.
no. Lulu came, didn't she?
No, I thought.
No, she ended up staying back making drinks.
Greetings, friends. I couldn't bear that boring gnome any longer. I decided to make my presence known here at this grand party.
You see, you see Smiley walking along with Vanessa, and then you also see Cecil Florentine being cheered on by the crowd.
Mm-hmm. He's staying at the same hotel we are. It's a good thing you showed up.
Down the street. Or down
Oh,
the hall.
shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
know.
sure I could have adopted a persona to allow me to escape.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm very good at that if you didn't know.
I didn't.
I have to say, this music is rather bitchin'.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Festive.
You're not even here, Snake Man.
I assume Rupert composed it.
Of course I did. Long ago, it was one of my first tunes. I was a prodigy, you know.
How old are you?
Older than you.
Not if you get taller as you age.
That doesn't happen with halflings. We get
Yeah.
smarter as we age. Looks like
then
it's
you'd
the
be called
reverse for you.
fullwings. You got taller. Whatever. What are we gonna do? Well, we ain't got time for shenanigans.
Well, Mr. Smiley's seemingly talking up that lady. What does she look like, by the way, Vanessa?
She is definitely related to the Florentines because she's got red hair.
She's thick, man.
No, she's not fat.
I didn't say fat. I said thick.
She's
Thick with two C's.
Yeah.
She is conventionally attractive by Terrian standards.
Is she like PHAT? Pretty hot
she's-
and tempting?
She's got red hair. She's about average height, average build, wearing a very colorful classical Baboli dress.
I see Mr. Smiley's making the rounds.
Yeah. I mean, he could end up fighting in the slave pits, but yeah, sure.
Interesting. I don't
It's
think
not
he would do. He
somehow.
would not do as well as you, I think.
It's
in the
not much
slave pit.
fun. It is
So-
not much fun.
What's our play here? Out of curiosity, are we just waiting?
I don't know.
we should go find the thing before they do.
We're going to find the rock without two of them. We're like splitting up the party.
I don't know if
I
that's
mean,
the
like,
best
maybe-
idea.
Somehow get them to go with us?
I don't know. Can
don't
we
know.
communicate? Can we communicate with Mr. Smiley without like communicating with Mr. Smiley? Like, can we like, I don't know. Can anybody talk to him without being right next to him?
I have an idea.
Don't
Okay,
think I
yes.
can,
You can
but-
you can talk with me. Possibly.
Or that's a better
I mean, but I'm in the backpack and a snake
How can we talk with a? Can anybody talk to a snake man?
at a range. I'm not. I'm in the back. In the back.
We could just kill Cecil and get it over with. We can like knock
I
on his
don't
door and be like,
this idea.
"Yeah, housekeeping," and when he opens it, just kill him.
So pretty much everybody on the island is out here tonight and partying it up, and they are very much looking at Cecil favorably.
Are
Okay.
the bird people here too, or do they live somewhere else?
You see some of the bird people here. You do know from when you arrived that they reside more in the mountainous region of Cyprus,
Okay.
close by.
And so, did they? Just out of curiosity, did they agree to give away their artifact, or was it like the humans agreeing to give away the bird's artifact?
From what you understand, it was a joint agreement.
Okay.
With Lapitha, sorry, with Zanita being the human representative and Octavia being the Aarakocra representative.
Do you know that Octavian fool?
And speaking of which, near the city hall that was pointed out earlier, you see several figures emerge. You see one, a very obvious silhouette of wings. You see a human female. You see another human female. And you see a tiny little silhouettes of a gnome exiting the city hall. The moment she steps outside, the figure with wings spreads them and heads off towards the Aarakocra village.
I believe I can fly. I know, Dory. I don't know what to do. Panicky, it'll be okay. We'll figure it out.
Well, I'm in a backpack, so keep going. I'm gonna check on the dog.
All right.
What's up?
As they get closer, you see that this is Camellia, Jocko, and another human female, who you can probably deduce is Zanita.
That's Anita. Do they, I mean, they gotta know. They know Cecil's a bad guy. What are they doing?
They're
Maybe-
playing their part.
Maybe they're working for. Maybe they're bad guys too.
I
They're
don't
all-
think that's the case.
Well, you
Good
don't
thing.
know. Do you know?
I know more than you, and I can surmise that they're probably not working with Cecil.
You don't know for sure.
Upon seeing Haneke waving,
What? Yeah.
the three figures point their eyes towards you, and Camellia and Jocko begin to approach. Zanita seems to say something to them and heads off into the crowd, presumably towards Cecil. When Camellia and Jocko approach, Camellia crosses her arms and lets out a very exhausted sigh. Well, they're just gonna give it to him.
What if we kill him? Seems
Here,
like that solves a lot of problems.
we can't do that yet. He's, in the eyes of central law, has not broken anything. We don't have anything on him.
I'm back.
If we were to simply attack him here, the fallout would be tremendous. Plus, he didn't come here alone. He, of course, has his escort from Babol. He'd be lucky to leave the island alive.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Oh,
I just got out of a meeting with Sanita and Octavia. Jacko here has been doing research on the simulacrum of this crystal that you brought. It's bad all the way down, it sounds like, but I think these people are more enticed by the notion of freedom than the magical workings of unknown artifacts. Besides, we're arguing from a lower position here. The bowl has promised freedom to them, and we're promising nothing. I don't have any kind of power or clout to cede Sintra's land claim. The envoy that's coming tomorrow might, but there's not much time to convince them.
Well, it sounds to me like a bit of burglary might be in order.
It's an interesting option.
Burgers sound really good. You're right.
It's an interesting option. It's not one that would make Cyprus very happy with Sintra. At least until we could prove that, these were being used for nefarious purposes.
Well, they don't have to blame Sintra at all. It could be a random rapscallion. Perhaps the dread pirate Roberts.
Who?
Exactly. Who?
Is... I don't want Alice to think we're trying to communicate with them.
Well, the way I see it, we can either do as you say and attack him here and now, and damn the consequences.
Okay.
We could try and convince the people here not to hand it over to him.
Okay.
Or a bit of burglary, as long as it was a good job and couldn't be linked back to us.
But are we burglars?
I'm not.
Do you have any idea where it's being kept?
Anaki's not.
Point over
we
towards
do
the
have
mountains.
a very sneaky pirate.
Not right now, we don't. We might want to come to terms with. We might not ever see Sneaky Pirate again.
That's true. If she finds out who he is, he'll be dead.
She might kill him.
We should rescue him now. We should make a distraction. Rescue him.
You see that she has walked with Smiley off towards the more mountainous region.
Like away from town?
Yeah, away from town. Nag, you heard her say that she would like to get away from all the celebration for a bit. She didn't like being this close to her uncle.
Maybe she doesn't like it.
He just gets, it's a bunch of pomp and circumstance. After his promotion to Chancellor, he gained a whole new set of powers to play with.
Ooh, I know how that is.
Spot on. I couldn't even tell he wasn't here.
Yeah.
Right?
Just put a little British accent in there, and you'll be Gucci.
I feel like a lot of times he means well, but he seems incredibly misguided on a few things. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you know,
Now he's Amish.
no, it's Irish, but
Yeah, about to say.
I don't have much experience in this kind of situation.
Poor Tom.
But I had a first mate back in the day when I was sailing the high seas, and it was kind of a similar situation.
Yes. So, A sailor. You must have seen a lot of weird stuff.
I have indeed. People of the sea, people of the land, all sorts of fine ales.
I heard there were mermaids.
Oh, there are dangerous creatures, though. They try and trick you into the sea and then they drown you.
Ugh.
Oh,
And to think something so beautiful could be so dangerous.
Indeed. And he winks at her.
Meanwhile,
Oh,
wrecked them.
meanwhile, somebody calls Camelia's name. You see another person, obviously from Centra, needing her attention. She looks back at you, and she says, "Well, I leave the best course of action in your hands. Keep me abreast of any new developments, and we'll continue trying to convince the envoy to give us some support here." Jocko, you hear somebody clear his throat from down below you. "It's incredibly imperative that he not obtain another one of these crystals. The arcane latticing on these, it's more intricate than anything I've ever seen, and this is only a replica of one. The amount of data that could be stored on this is astronomical. You could almost keep an entire person on here. Maybe something even more powerful than a person."
Mm-hmm.
When you say keep a person on here, what do you mean by that exactly?
It's a manner of speech. But draconic power and arcane power can come together to form a sort of memory, if you will, via symbols. It's like if you constructed something down, or deconstructed something down to its most basic parts, you would get a string of symbols representing that thing, whatever it be, from something extremely simple like a ball to something incredibly complex like a human mind or a human body. So far, the requirements to store such things have been incredible in scale and would take more arcane power than anybody's been able to produce. But these crystals have a very dense structure to them. They could hold a lot more than anything we've ever seen before, so you could store anything on here.
Could you recreate something by any chance? Such as, you say you store Korgath in there, could you just
Whoa!
pop a copy of Korgath out?
Wait a minute.
Well, in a hypothetical scenario, yes. You would have to have some kind of vessel to put him in, but maybe this is
Like
more
a
philosophical, but it would be a copy of Korgath. It would not be Korgath.
Would this copy be subservient to anything, or just act on its own accord?
It's highly theoretical, but I imagine there would be errors produced by such a procedure. After all, any slight fluctuation in the way the arcane energy flows through this could mix up a symbol or two. And in something so complex, a simple symbol being mixed up could spell something completely different. He furrows his brow and looks up at Haneke. Could make people lose their hair. Well, I could see that happening.
Maybe people shouldn't slam them on the ground.
And something with such incredible power, if jostled or handled incorrectly, could let out a wild magic surge.
Has he seen the other stone we had?
No, you have not shown Jocko the green crystal you found.
Yeah, we haven't showed him Hank. Do we want to show him what we found?
I suppose we can trust him.
Are you sure?
Can we trust you, Mr. Jocko?
Well, I consider myself trustworthy. I don't know how I could prove it to you. I am the first Arcanist
here,
of...
we found this. Here, here, we found this. Take a look at it.
I am the first Arcanist of Woodpine University, and I have
I'm just
worked
spitting
with...
the green stone right in
What?
his face.
And you interrupt him trying to explain himself.
No, it's not. You gave it to me. My stone. Hank's Hank. We found it in the desert.
And all three of his eyes widen up when you plop it in
Whoa.
his hands.
Easy there, big guy.
Uh,
Oh my.
Got a little chubby going on down there. I'll handle that.
the rest of you, he seems to completely ignore the rest of you as he just holds it in his hands.
I didn't let go of it.
But you didn't let go of it, you're just holding it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he is jumping up and down like, I need to see this.
Well, yeah, I'll put it down on your level, homie.
Well, while you're still holding it, he stares over it, and he keeps his third eye open this time. You see that it's moving independently from his other two.
Well, that's some weird shit right there.
He just goes completely silent. And
He's
then
dead.
he seems to come back, closes his third eye, and he looks up at all of you. There is more power resting inside of that crystal than the entirety of the ambient power in the Greywood.
Wow. So we shouldn't let Cecil get it.
That,
Or Haneke have it back.
but he motions to the deformed growths that are coming out of the otherwise very rigidly cut greenstone. These growths here, these weren't made when the crystal was made. These came later?
It was like this when we found it.
Yes. Where did you find this?
I told you, in the desert.
Oh,
And that temple we went to investigate.
the one that Radovan wrote to us about. Yes, I
Yeah,
have.
that.
I have my understudies at Woodpine already on their way to check it out.
This is the only good thing left in there. That was the only good thing in there.
It looks like these growths are caused by ambient arcane energy. These kind of constructions, it's a mixture of draconic and arcane. It seems the balance got thrown off at some point. It's almost been corrupted in a way. Although I don't know if this is a wholly negative corruption.
Could we turn it into a weapon?
I'm sure throwing it on the ground would be enough.
I mean, that might make one's hair fall out.
You don't want to be releasing wild magic all over the place. Anything could happen.
Where would be a safe place to keep it?
Well, you should be able to hold on to it for at least another month before any kind of radiation starts taking hold of you. After all, you're naturally fey.
Ready what?
Arcane radiation. It's anything of sufficiently intense arcane power over time begins to shift people that are around it. This is how we came about, the Fae. Orcs are naturally resistant to it, but as far as
would you
anybody...
like super fey?
Well...
Like I'd be able to like climb on walls and stuff?
Something different.
Oh.
I don't suppose anything was alive around the area, was it?
Well, there were what these like fire lizards. Look like, and they would die. We killed them. They'd come back. They couldn't die.
You look like you're blowing his little head right about now. They would come back.
Yeah, they did, and then they come back. You cut them in half, they grow back.
Fascinating.
Kind of a pain in the butt. So maybe I'll be a flame lizard, unkillable killing machine. I like the sound of it.
Well, right now with Cecil trying to find all of these, I think the safest place might be resting with the rest of you. Once we know that he's not going to get up to anything with them, I would very much like to have this at the university for further study.
We'll see if we can figure something.
Well, the bottom line is, there's another one here. It's been a treasured relic for these people for who knows how long. And Cecil is about to get it. We can't let that happen.
Okay, we'll get this one, and Haneke can hold on to it.
He
Okay.
turns and starts to gnome his way off.
So,
I guess
I
we need
agree.
to.
little
Yes.
eyes are weird.
He should keep it away. That's why I don't like gnomish women.
Ooh.
No offense if there's a gnome nearby.
Nah, Lulu's back at the hotel.
So,
What do we want to do, friends?
I guess we're gonna go steal a rock, or try to talk him in, make a friend of the guard, and like let him like give it to us.
Something
you-
tells me that's a little unlikely to happen.
Well, maybe we can say we're with Cecil,
Do
and we've
see-
come to get the rock for him before the ceremony tomorrow.
So you do see Zanita in the crowd, close to Cecil. You also know that you saw Octavia flying towards the Aarakocra village. And Lucy's located object is sort of pointing towards the village.
Let's go to the. Lucy, what do you know about the bird village? Archie, what do you know about the bird village?
There's birds.
Do you know
I
anybody
don't
there?
know. I don't
Do you know about this
know.
rock?
Not
Have you ever
really.
seen this rock? You've never seen the rock before.
It's kind of like when people go south, to Florida for the summer.
The fuck's
Like
Florida?
I've never gone, but people come. I don't know.
What's
And so
Florida?
it's usually just the old birds that stay.
Like oh god, old people. So they go to bed early. It should be really easy to steal from them.
Maybe.
I imagine that a few of those that have returned from Cyprus have told you about the fair, temperate weather of the area. That it's not quite as sprawling as the settlements up in Blade Island, but a dedicated group of Aarakocra have called it home for many years now.
I mean, you think they would listen to a fellow bird person? If you were if you warned them that Cecil's bad?
I mean, I think they know he's bad, but it's what's best for them.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing?
We might be able to convince them. I don't know what he has on them.
Well, maybe we should go find out.
I don't know if he's, corrupted them or convinced them of something else.
Just pointing this out there, if we go and talk to them about giving up the stone and then the
And then
stone
we steal
suddenly
it?
disappears, they're going to know who did it.
Probably.
Currently, none of them know who we are, or that we're even here. We have the advantage of surprise.
What if we said we were representatives from Centra and we were offering them, I don't know, something
Or-
better?
Or what if we steal it and then go and talk to them? Be like, would you be willing to give it to us? And then we'll see how it goes. And if they say no, we already have it.
But then they're gonna
And-
know it was us.
But then we can be like, oh, so sorry. And they'll already realize, but wait, it would have already been gone. There's no way we could have stolen it. Oops.
That seems really
That intelligence check is actually really nice.
seems really hard for me to keep up with.
Unintentional, but. Well, I mean, if it's already gone, and they gotta look at it, they're like, oh, it's already gone. Oh no, it couldn't have been them, though. We were talking to them.
So we're gonna
But
sneak
then
into
if
this
they
village.
believe us, and they go with us, we'll be like, well, we already stole it, but we didn't know what you would say. Hope you're
What
cool."
if? What if we kidnap Vanessa and make Cecil give us the rock back to get her?
That'll work.
Her and Smiley already wandered off together, and Nag's with them.
He's probably exploring her port side by now.
Hey,
Speaking of Vanessa and Smiley, you three have found yourself a fair bit away from the town at this point. And you see some very old structures. See a lot of graves around. Vanessa goes from laughing to being a bit somber. She says, the architecture here, absolutely ancient, but these graves look fresh. You think they still bury the freshly dead here?
Arr,
what kind of other dead is there? It was-
I'll have to say this architecture is a beaut.
Oh my god.
Looking among the graves, you see a woman kneeling in front of one. Make a perception. Oh, I have to do it, Mr. Schmeling.
Yeah, Rupert's perception's not that good.
And I'm in a bag,
I'm on a
receiving some rum and
You don't recognize the
Oh,
woman. Right
God.
you don't recognize the woman right off the bat.
boat. Guys, we're not getting off to a good start tonight.
And
This
Vanessa
is better to get him out of the way now.
puts her hand on Smiley's shoulder. She looks very upset.
Arr, what's wrong with you?
Upon getting closer, this is Hilda.
Do we know who
Arr,
Hilda
oh shit.
is?
Who's Hilda?
That is Gorix's wife.
Okay.
Damn, guys, this is like a bad soap opera right now. We should just the plots are twisted.
She barely gives Smiley a second glance, and she smirks. Ah, so you made your way here?
Arr, who, me?
Well, we keep telling the fat one. He only needs one crystal to do what he wants to do.
Arr, and what might that be?
You ready for this? She's obviously drunk. You can realize this really quickly. You ready for this? He wants to bring a dragon back. And not for any deep philosophical reason, not because he wants to cleanse the world or anything dramatic like that. No. Cecil collects Fae, and he thinks that he can collect a dragon, and it would be the ultimate centerpiece of his collection. Yeah.
Arr, that sounds pretty stupid, yeah? And you just go along with that?
Well,
Fucking pirate hobbit over here.
his niece there. Isn't that right? Vanessa looks a little bit uncomfortable, but she nods. Yes, he does have his proclivities.
That word's a little too big for me.
Hilda smirks. Yeah, we go along with it. Our, Gorix and I's master has instructed us to do this to make sure Cecil doesn't do anything even more monumentally stupid.
Gorx has a master, you say, and who might that be?
Oh, you know. Karen.
Oh,
Death himself.
He's the Black Dragon, isn't he?
Indeed, one and the same. Death himself, the cruel master of the Endless River.
And what he be wanting with a couple of people like ye and a red dragon?
We broke the rules. And this is what he does. To those who delve too deep. He makes sure that we stop others from breaking the rules.
Isn't Cecil breaking the rules then?
You can't fault him for his internal consistency, because whatever is in that crystal is a copy and not the actual soul. Karen seems fine with it. But he is worried that if Cecil learns it's just a copy, he might try and go for the real thing next, and somebody with as much wizarding knowledge as Cecil might be able to pull it off. Karen doesn't want anybody leaving the Endless River.
He's a Grady.
I don't blame him. So why are you telling me all this?
Because I'm disenfranchised. Because I'm drunk. Because I'm crazy. Any of the above. You know what I did to find myself in Karen's lap?
Enlighten me, if you don't mind.
I tried to get my son back. She motions to the grave that she's kneeling in front of. You see that whoever was buried there was, there's no marker for their birth and death dates. Ian Gorix had just picked out a house here on Cyprus. Everything seemed to be going well. And then I got sick. Got very sick. And then we never had the child. And silly me. I had heard legends of the Endless River. People going there, crossing it. The story of Odysseus, who went across the river. But these were just stories, because Gorix and I, we found a way to do it. We went to the river. But when we got to that boat, the one that had our child, it was there as it was when he passed. The only reason Karen let me even get to that boat was so I could be confronted with this reality.
So you mean to tell me that you and your boyfriend, you are both human?
At one point, yes.
She's still kind of human, isn't she?
She is, but she's got slits for eyes.
Oh. Ew.
And Charon did this to you?
Indeed, he did. Once you've spent that long in the river, it changes you. And he doesn't like people making frivolous trips down, as he called it. And once we had, he said that things would never be the same for us for having seen it.
And now you're bound to him forever?
Until he deems fit. Until people stop trying to meddle in the affairs of what goes on after you pass. So, yes, for eternity.
Ugh.
And let me get this straight. He wants Cecil to find the crystal to get this copy of a dragon for his collection?
He doesn't want it to happen. He just doesn't care. As long as it's only a copy.
So, you
What if
could
it-
not help him then? Is that what you're saying?
Been thinking about it. Gorix wants that fiddle of yours, by the way. Or, you're not Rupert. Holy shit. Gorix wants that fiddle of the halflings, by the way.
I think the halfling would tell him to pound sand, but just a random thought.
Yes.
Why, out of curiosity, I wasn't there for when Rupert won that fiddle. Why does Gorix want it back so badly? What does it mean to him, other than his pride being shattered?
It's his pride, but there are instruments in the world with a lot of power behind them, as your friend most certainly demonstrated back. Well, she wasn't there. There are instruments in the world that have extraordinary amounts of power to them. Mine seems to be one. Gorix believes the halflings is another one, and he's been mighty sore ever since he lost it to him. Maybe he thinks that halfling will be interested in such things as reanimating dead flesh and bone. But it's a bit more macabre than your halfling friend's tastes. At least from what I got from him.
He is a bit of a party animal. Oh, excuse me. Arr, my voice.
It can do more, though. It can do a whole lot more.
Like, what, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, make everybody trust what you say without question. Make everybody follow your orders to a T. Entrance an entire nation. And bring them to bear against your enemies. And single-handedly be the beloved god of a universe.
Well, he definitely can't have that.
Yes, the power of music is universal. Whenever these instruments were created, it was clearly with that in mind. It seems to not be arcane, not be draconic in origin. It seems to be its own brand of magic entirely, the kind of magic that bards do.
It's annoying if you ask me. After a while.
Well, a good show is important. It's what makes us human, after all. She laughs darkly.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what happens next? Are you gonna tell old Cecil that we're here and on his case?
No, I'm going to stay by my son's grave and mourn for a while, and then I'm gonna go back to the Feather and drink more. And then I'm going to resume my charade that I am Cecil's consultant.
What she's doing sounds a lot more fun than what we're doing.
Do you, since you seem to be on the fence, since you seem to be on the fence, is there anything you may be able to help us with? Any weaknesses in his plan that we could exploit? Give him a one-up.
You could let him summon his copy of a dragon that he wants. It would probably immediately torch him. But then you would have a copy of a dragon running around.
I don't think that's a viable alternative.
Well, he needs a vessel to put the dragon in. And it's gonna have to be something very close to what a dragon might be. I saw you adventuring around with a creature, scales all over it, Nag, I think he was. He might do.
Oh, he's just a wee little fella.
Well, if he doesn't have something to put it in, then all it is compressed information.
Trust me, I know a lot about not having something to put it in.
What's Vanessa say when he says that?
Vanessa is kind of tuned out of the conversation around the time that the crystal talk came up. She's kind of just been chewing on her knuckle, looking like she's thinking about things. And Hilda takes another swig from her drink. Well, having one of them is bad enough. I think you knew this already, but keeping him from getting any more, that would be a good thing.
I agree.
There's one here. It's in the Aarakocra village.
Yes, do you, how would you suggest we proceed?
Oh, carefully.
Is there a way we could maybe get a hold of this stone prior to, it being given over to Cecil?
I ain't been up there myself, but artifact is precious to these people. I imagine it's in a holy place to them. Probably guarded. Most definitely guarded, now that it's part of a trade deal. You could always ask them to hand it over to you. It seemed to work to Cecil. Could always try and steal it. Doesn't seem your style. Well, yours, yes, but the rest of your crew, maybe not so much. Still, these people want their freedom. They've been living on this island longer than the Red War and any of those other major historical events, and nobody asked them whether or not they would like to have their land claimed. So Babol giving it up, yeah, it's going to take something equivalent for them to give up that crystal of theirs.
I feel like we don't have anything equivalent to that. Just a random stone's throw in the ocean.
No, that's why I moved out of Sintra. Tightwads. Here they're coming to the table. Good luck with that.
So what you're saying is we should, pirate the thing.
Well, I imagine that's the less talkative path, yes.
Or you said, the fiddle the little one carries could force them to bend to our will?
I've been studying for years and years, and I can still only do it to people that have died already. Not much chance of Rupert there being able to do anything to the living. Not without studying under Gorix.
And I don't feel like Gorix would be a very willing teacher.
He might be.
Oh, you don't say.
Well, if this ends how I imagine it's going to end, with the fat ass laying dead on the ground or behind bars, we'll no longer have to pretend to be on his side.
Well, I hope that ending does happen for ye and for me.
Vanessa looks a bit horrified at her most recent statement, and she starts tugging on Smiley's shoulder.
Oh yes, lass.
Can we go?
I suppose it was nice talking to ye, ma'am.
Yeah, be seeing ya.
Ye as well. Sorry, lass. Where were we?
Vanessa's face is as pale as a human face can be. Dead or behind bars?
Unfortunately, that's what she said, yes.
Well,
You see, your father's,
Uncle.
uncle is, sorry, got it all mixed up. He's not a very nice man.
I mean, I know he has his peculiarities, but he hasn't
It's unfortunate.
hurt anybody that I've seen.
He's definitely done it before, and we have an old saying that violent delights have violent ends.
Oh no. You don't want me to bring Westworld in here. I would go ham with that.
The
Well,
whole copying thing got me on thinking of it, so.
yeah. Well, that lady was talking a bunch of nonsense.
Yes indeed.
Dragons are just, stories. She was drunk, clearly in mourning.
Indeed, dragons are fairy tales they tell to scare little children at night.
She laughs, but it's more of one of those laughs to reassure herself, and she switches from holding Smiley's hand to, chewing on her knuckle as she walks along. I want to head back to town.
I'll walk you back there, miss.
So what are the people in the town? What are you thinking?
I think Smiley's dead.
Probably. We'll just go on without him.
Okay.
We should say a few nice words for him before we leave.
Do we have to?
He was an above-average pirate.
Like how far above average?
Like 51%. I was trying to be nice. He didn't know where to use the restroom properly.
Hey, you the poop deck?
Yeah, he did never get to see another poop deck.
Yeah.
He was a woody fellow. His bark was the talk of the town,
Huh?
because he's a half-elf.
Yes, because of the
Yes. Wood elf?
no. Remember, elves have wooden epidermises.
Yeah, he has some wood patches on his.
Yes,
You,
he was a good bodyguard for me for many months.
We'll have to fight
You
him.
hear this as you walk up on the party. Vanessa and Smiley.
Oh, arr, arr. Hello, everyone.
As I make
What are you talking about?
as I make Ian RP with himself.
Ah, Mr. Smiley, it's so good to see you once again. Arr, little fella, how are you doing? Last I heard, you were still hanging out with the wee little gnome lass that gives you the willies. Ah, yes, indeed, Mr. Smiley. Don't worry, I gave her the slip and returned back here to support my party, do what I do best. I see you've got a little arm candy yourself. No.
What?
He
in the
nervously,
hell?
just kicks around and looks all bashful and turns very red.
Vanessa,
Mm.
Vanessa's still like chewing on her knuckle, and she looks to Smiley. I think I'd like to return to my room. If you want to stop by, I might still be awake. You've given me a lot to think about.
Well, I could probably do that, yeah.
All right.
Oh my god.
It was wonderful meeting you.
Hi, Vanessa.
She doesn't recognize you because the last time you
as
saw
well,
her,
man.
you were wearing masks.
Really?
Now she knows what you look like.
Maybe we should take her with us.
Maybe we should kidnap her.
She's walking away now, isn't she?
She is turning to walk away.
Let me grab her. She's gonna scream if I grab her. I shouldn't grab her.
Miss Vanessa, was it?
Yes?
Are you sure you wouldn't like to stay, take your mind off things, enjoy a good song or two?
I have a lot on my mind.
Interesting.
It'll be fun.
It will be fun. Archie here can teach you. Actually, sorry, not Archie. Aerodactyl here can teach you all about the bird traditions. We call him Arrow for short. Talk a little deeper.
Vanessa kind of stops walking away and turns toward Archie curiously. Tilts her head. Now, I've only been around the Aarakocra for about a week, but you are not Cypressian Aarakocra, right? Blade Island?
Yep.
What's the difference?
Well, Cypressian Aarakocra are from Cyprus, and Blade Island Aarakocra are from Blade Island.
That's it? There's no other differences?
I have black feathers, and they usually have
Yes.
not black feathers.
Do they not like you because you have black feathers?
If you look around the local Aarakocra, they're all more hawk-like in appearance, but Archie here is more like a raven.
Are they birdists?
No, they've been treating Archie pretty well.
You know, birds of a feather and such.
But your feathers are different.
Well, yeah, but not everyone's racist like you, Corgas.
I didn't what? I don't even know what that means.
God, I mean, we're the same. We're
Kill
the
everybody
same.
the same. It doesn't matter.
It don't matter what color you are.
Everybody's red on the inside.
Exactly. I mean, really, we're the same. I mean, it's just kind of a different climate, a little bit.
Warmer or colder?
Like, this is a little warmer here. A bit. A little more sunny, a little more vacation-y, you know, a little bit of beach time.
There's gonna
Mine,
be
not so much. It's very windy where I come from, and not very hospitable or welcoming.
Oh, so they don't like people there.
Oh no, we love people. Just people don't love the island. It's a little hard to get around, especially if you don't have feathers. I might do like a little bird strut.
Bravo, bravo. Care to dance, Miss Vanessa?
I don't know any dances, for a halfling human pair.
Oh, believe me, I can teach you. I've danced this dance many times, you could say.
Well, alright. It's probably better than me brooding alone in my home.
That's the spirit. Always best to have a good time.
Is Rupert? And I'm gonna kind of lean over and like kind of talk into Nag, the nose in the bag. Is Rupert doing the thing they call cock blocking?
Stick my little head out and nod, and then sit back in.
Why did you say my real name?
Cause she's not gonna remember. It'll be fine. So what are we doing? Are we doing this tomorrow?
Well, apparently we're
Like-
freaking dancing. I don't know.
Actually, better idea. Maybe you should dance with Smiley and I will play you a tune.
Yes, alright. She and,
As they,
she
sorry, I'm
takes...
assuming they're walking out to the floor together.
Yes.
And I turn around to the two behind me and I say, "Will you two shut up? It was
I like-
his idea. We have to keep her here because she's afraid she's going to go tell somebody.
I liked it better when he was at the hotel.
So here's the plan. We get her very drunk to the point where she can't remember.
I like that plan. I'll
I
go get some
believe they
drinks.
call that a blackout.
Let's go get drinks for everybody. Let's go get some Fireball.
Yes, do that, and I will play a tune. And then Smiley can take her home and get her more drunk, and then she won't remember anything.
Isn't that illegal though?
I didn't think I would ever
Not in
say
D&D.
this, but
I don't
Rupert,
think I'm-
that's a good idea.
Signing up for that.
This is a life and death situation. Normally, I wouldn't condone such a thing. But she could tell on us.
We can be morally gray tonight. That's okay. You can do a lot of stuff when you're morally gray,
Mm.
so we're okay.
In most D&D editions, you're considered willing if you're unconscious
Oh my.
for spellcasting and things, or really anything. You are considered willing when you are unconscious.
Okay, I'm going to get drinks. Come on. Things are getting weird.
We're saying we're just going to let her be drunk. We're not saying we're going to do anything, you fools.
You gather up some drinks. Vanessa seems all too willing to accept.
I play a classic Bavolian tune. That's where she's from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a classic Bavolian tune.
She,
Is this all really necessary? Yes, we have to be careful. But I don't want to dance with her all night. Well, you're going to have to buck up and do it, Buster. Okay.
she's all too willing to continue the dancing and the festivities, and she's actually pounding it back pretty hard.
Fireball, keep it coming.
It's working! It's working!
Here,
Let's see
more here.
here.
Trade her. Your cheers, cheers. Girl can drink.
So, to date, or so far, Cecil's been, talking with some of the more important-looking people of
he still here?
Lepithos. Yeah, he's still around.
Like out. Oh God. I'm a lot bigger than everybody. Maybe I shouldn't just be wandering around with alcohol.
He has made no indication that he's noticed you.
We could just kill him and be done with it.
I feel like that is not going to end the way you think it's going to.
I mean, You win some, you lose some. We'd win and then we'd lose.
I'd like to keep winning. I don't know about you.
All I do is win, win, win.
But I think it might be time to count our losses and get out of here.
Where are we going to Aircold Village?
Yes, we're going to steal the damn thing.
Alright, YOLO.
Because I don't foresee us being able to talk our way out of this one.
Well, let's get. Where's Smiley? Is he still dancing?
He's been dancing with Vanessa for a bit now. Her dances have become less, coordinated. She started out as an incredible dancer, but now it's just, she's loose and letting it all out.
Are there any, like, servers wandering around or, like, just
Yeah.
people, like, workers? Okay.
Yeah, you see people,
Maybe-
wandering around with drinks.
Maybe we should, like, get a server to, like, take care of her, and we can just, like, discreetly make our exit.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we could do that.
And then be like, sir, we found her, she's really drunk, could you take care of her? And then we'll just be like, vanish into the shadows.
I like this plan.
Well, I mean, her uncle's staying at her inn too. Maybe we just kind of like all walk in and just kind of leave her downstairs,
No, we don't, we're going to steal the fucking crystal.
or leave her in the alley somewhere.
No, we're gonna let a
Sure.
server take care, like an employee of this establishment, help
So
her.
leave, like, a
perhaps
note
we can
on her
find
that
her a
says
room
it's
here, say she's not well enough to go home, to back to the inn, and we find her room here, and then conveniently lock the door so she can't get out.
Would that be kidnapping?
No, it would just be leaving her and accidentally locking the door.
Be protecting her from hurting herself because she's intoxicated.
We're being nice guys.
For once. We can just kill her.
No, we're not killing her. Fine. We'll find her a room, but you have to disguise yourself. She go buy a room, and we're paying for another room for tonight.
I'm not paying for it. Smiley's paying for it.
That's
Yeah,
a
he
good
got us
idea.
into this mess.
That's a good point.
That old horn dog.
I'm surprised he's still dancing as much as he's had to drink.
For as much as Smiley has had to drink, Vanessa seems to have had more. She's,
Oh yeah, she's been having doubles. Smiley hasn't.
she's over the edge.
Just wander off and leave her. It'll be fine. She's a Florentine. They're not gonna let anything bad happen to her. Just go. Oh, we gotta go to the bathroom and then we'll just leave.
I will flag down a server, man. Don't worry. You there, sir? Are you a server at this place?
Yeah, I'm helping out with the festivities. What's up?
Hello, my name is and I have one of my compatriots here is currently very, very intoxicated. Do you have rooms for her to stay somewhere?
We're pretty well booked out.
Cannot make it back. I'm sure you could make an exception. Do you know who I am?
Well, it's a lot of important people here tonight.
I am Francois Napoleon IV.
Lyncian, right?
Oh, very good, very good.
Yeah. Man, what are Lyncians doing here? Goodness. Well, anyway, phew. You can go to the Pristine Feather and ask. Which guest is it? I can help out.
Cannot make it back to the Pristine Feather. She needs somewhere here to stay, far away.
Okay. Which guest is it?
I point over to Vanessa. The very drunk one.
Oh, the Florentine girl. Well, just give her to Cecil. He'll know what to do.
He is very busy, you see.
One of his guards, maybe. He motions
They are
to.
very busy protecting him. Please, and it would not be a good look for her to walk the streets a drunkard.
Okay. Okay. I, I don't know how noble affairs work, but clearly this is very important.
Yes, your little servant boy.
He kind of awkwardly goes up to Vanessa. She seems to just be completely willing to take his hand and like try to dance with him. He looks back to you, Rupert, in confusion. What now?
She is drunk. Find her room. Give her water. Let her sleep.
Okay. I'll see what I can do. And he disappears off with Vanessa into the crowd.
Time to go, friends.
Deuces! Let's go steal a rock.
Where are you guys headed?
What time is it?
It is approaching midnight.
I imagine Smiley's coming back from the bathroom now.
Yeah.
Where'd she go?
She gone, man. She found somebody else. Sorry.
She had to sleep. She was tired.
Oh, but
So we found her a good spot to go lay down.
I was gonna take her home, you know.
Maybe next time.
Oh.
It's alright, you did pretty good tonight.
Okay.
I'm sure she'll totally remember this night. It'll be fine. She'll come back. Guess I'll rekindle this tomorrow.
Oh, I don't think so. There, Mr. Smiley. There's always Lulu. I hear she'd love a dashing pirate. Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm willing to give it a try. I've always found the third eye quite attractive.
Okay. Okay.
You
What are we doing?
hear a bit of a commotion as some of the bubble guards notice Vanessa's current state, and she is ushered back over to Cecil.
Time to go, friends. Time to go. Time to go.
Well,
I can see it's just like tiptoeing out like in a Scooby-Doo episode. Like,
Nag, perhaps we should make us unseen.
no, let's just leave her, alright.
I'm still in a snake.
Okay, we're going. We left. Bye.
Where are you going?
It's midnight. Do we want to go steal a rock at midnight, or we want to go get some
What,
stuff?
isn't the transfer happening at dawn?
5 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh, the opposite of dawn.
Yeah. The second time it rolls
Well,
around.
I would think it would be better to work under cover of darkness. I don't know about you.
Well, let's go.
All right. I'm
Archie, lead the way.
Well, why do you think? Well, oh wait, no, you're right.
I mean, they said holy place. I figured you might know about it.
I also did.
What
the
did you
thing
think I
where
meant?
could
Just
find.
because I was a bird? Just because you're a bird, I figured you know where it was?
Mm-hmm.
Not because you cast the locate object?
May have forgotten about that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing that the destination is the Aarakocra village?
Yeah. Go kill some bird. I mean, let's go steal a rock.
All right. DM needs to pee real quick.
Do we need to get real Nag, or where is real Nag?
Real
Okay.
nag is in a backpack.
Yeah, still in
Smiley.
that Smiley's backpack.
Oh, but you're just tiny?
Yeah, I am a like normal snake with little wings.
He's in his familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, well, where's your real body?
Did I merge?
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
It's
Alright.
weird.
I did it when we were splitting up so that Smiley wasn't alone.
That was smart. You never know what kind of trouble Smiley can get himself into.
Yeah.
Oh, don't be mean like that.
DM's gotta use the bathroom, so be right back.
I hope this doesn't take long. I'm getting sleepy. I hope we can steal this rock easy. Sir, how long is it to get to where we're going? How far a walk is it? Do we know?
Mm.
Alright. So you find a paved path out of Lepithos towards High Perch. You see the same very sharp mountains as the ones that you saw when you were sailing in on your boat. The path continues on, stops being paved, kind of turns into rocky terrain for a little bit. But it's not long before you get to a sheer cliff. You see it's just a straight drop off, but you see some strange machinery etched into the wall. There is a sign posted at the base of the sheer cliff. It says, "Greetings, dear visitors. Due to the festivities, these elevators up are unmanned. If you wish to visit the Aarakocra village of High Perch, please come during the day."
Does anybody know how to operate these things?
I'll since we're no longer doing the thing, I will come out of Smiley's backpack and turn back to normal.
Do you think this is like if we were up top, we could send the elevator down?
Archie, you know these contraptions. These are elevators to help those without wings get up to places where people with wings get to easily. The operation is always at the top of wherever the elevator is, for security purposes.
I think I might be able to go up there and send it down.
That would be helpful. If not, I have a backup plan.
I can accompany you.
Yeah, I'm not very strong. You might need help.
Well, neither am I. So
We can do it
together.
What are you gonna summon Captain Planet? What the hell?
It's just the Archie and Nag, adventure times of
Yeah.
each session now. Because we
'Cause-
can fly and you can't.
A snake and a
Let's
bird.
go.
So
the
you
top.
both fly up to the top,
Yep.
and you see the top of the contraption. You see where the path continues on, and there's further contraptions up ahead. However, the one in front of you, it feels like home. It works exactly the same way. It's just a pulley system.
Well, I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
Alright. So, do they have to be on the bottom? Like they have to be on the lift so as we lift it? Or we have to lower it?
You have to lower it. Looks like the elevator's been raised.
Alright. Let's lower it.
So, several tens of rotations later, the rest of you are greeted with a elevator system being lifted down the edge of the mountain.
Yay! Here it comes.
It's not very fast.
Oh, it's gonna take forever.
Haneke asks, "We bring our stuff?" I imagine you guys brought your stuff.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
always
so.
got my stuff.
It's up to you.
You don't have your stuff, tough nookies.
I don't know if Haneke would ever go anywhere without her giant shield.
You would have not brought it?
Oh goodness, she might have to go on her own.
So with the amount of people on the elevator, I'm gonna go for a strength check from Archie, but Nag, you can help if
Okay.
you wish. So you have
I
advantage,
will.
Archie.
Is it an athletics check?
Yeah, athletics with advantage.
Ooh.
With advantage.
There you go. He managed
That's
to
fine. Just that one unsettling kind of jostle.
Yep. There's a unsettling jostle about halfway up the mountain, but you get your friends up.
It's fine.
Yep.
The bird sweat. I don't even know.
The path continues on.
Mostly
go
'cause
through-
I didn't think. Can I make a perception check? Is there any like places up here that should have people in it, like a
Ye-
guardhouse?
Yes. So you see a guardhouse about halfway down the path here before you get to the next elevator off in the distance. You see a small fire going inside of it.
Oh, we should probably avoid that.
Yes, what's our story? You're showing us the sights,
Wow, maybe.
and we plead ignorance.
Can we just sneak past it?
Well, that's the idea. This is what if Smiley gets us caught. Oh, I'm a good rogue, arr.
Thought you were a pirate. Jeez.
Let's see. If we get caught, I'm showing you the city's better from this angle. You can see everything. That's what.
Oh, sorry. I am talking like Smiley all of a sudden. I
Who
mean,
are
for
you?
my new song, perhaps I'm trying to write a song or some prose about the great view from up here, and you decided to show it to me. Of course, they will know who I am. Everybody knows who I am.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Just don't get caught.
That all depends on Smiley. Arr.
Alright, let's go. Kind of lead everyone past the. Try and sneak around the guardhouse.
Is he trying to sneak around without being seen?
Mhm.
Stealth checks for all.
Oh no.
Does anyone have
Anything to make us stealthier?
No.
I don't.
I mean, I have something that might help.
I'm gonna cast that on see let's put it on Korgat because I don't know if he can ever be quiet.
I'm gonna cast guidance on myself.
So I can roll a d4. Okay.
Didn't really need it, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
I rolled a 12.
I rolled a 22.
All right. Um, so you pass by the guardhouse. You see a lone, hawkish Aarakocra inside. He's just kind of muttering to himself. I could have gone down, joined the festivities. I could have done that. But no, Caius, no. You're the one who dropped the logs that one time. Just stay up here, guard. Everybody else is having fun, yes. Yeah. He does not notice you.
Mr. Smiley, it's the Ericoa version of you. War.
You come across a second elevator. This time, since like all of you have dark vision, you can see at the lip of this particular cliff, you start seeing some structures and torchlight as you get to the top of the elevator.
We're not very good birds.
Archie can't see in the dark. Well,
Nope.
the torchlight is definitely visible even if you don't have dark vision.
Yeah. We should keep going. Do I know around if the object was like further up, or if it would be around here? Do we have to keep going further?
It would be further up. You kind of feel it tugging you upwards towards where the torchlight is.
All right. Let's keep going.
So, once again, the elevator has been raised to the top. No sign this time. I guess maybe the people coming up would have gotten the point after the first one.
I'll fly up to the top of that one too.
Alright. When you get to the top, you see a whole lot more torchlights. In one of the mountains, spiraling upwards, you see a whole bunch of very Aarakocran homes built right into the mountainside itself.
Oh, it looks so cozy.
Nobody seems to be at the elevator here, but there's a similar contraption to bring it up.
I'll lower that one too.
I will help.
Alright, strength check to bring it back up at advantage.
Oh boy.
You get
Did I pull something out?
you get about halfway up, and all of a sudden you lose grip on the contraption for a few sparse moments. People in the elevator, you start hurtling towards the ground. Make a dexterity save, Archie.
Oh gosh.
Y'all did. Oh shoot.
As you manage to grab hold of the
It's
contraption
fine, it's
again.
fine.
You
I
said you
just
knew what you were
figured-
doing.
You see somebody with a torch coming out of the guardhouse you passed as the elevator makes a loud noise when it comes to a sudden stop.
I cast invisibility on us both.
Okay. So you're both invisible up there, and you're holding on to the elevator.
Shit. I don't know what to do with him. Do I like pull them up or do I leave them right there? And just hope he doesn't notice it's in the middle. I'm just gonna hold it very steady for a second
What? I hearing somebody at the elevator. What was that? Shit.
I
Uh-oh.
shit. Does he start walking towards us?
He does,
One
and
second. If he starts walking towards us, I use minor illusion to make some I don't know what little animals have I seen since we've been here? What seems local? Like a squirrel or something? Little bird.
whole bunch of birds, different bird types.
I try and make the sound of maybe some bird I've seen on the ground over in a bush off to the side with minor illusion, which is just semantic and there's no verbal part of that spell.
Okay.
And since it's not a hostile action, it doesn't break.
He turns his head towards the sound. Oh. It was a bird. Back to drinking, Caius. Yes, drinking alone in my guard tower. Yes. And he turns and leaves.
Korgath's gonna be so mad when he gets up here.
Are you trying to pull it the rest of the way up?
Yeah, I'll try to pull this way up.
He could strike athletics at advantage. It's not a smooth elevator
Wait.
ride.
Maybe next time we should have them come
Hold up.
one or two at a time.
I should have cast guidance on you first. Oh well.
It's not a very smooth ride up. And there's another harrowing moment where it pauses for a bit. But you do manage to get to the top of the cliff.
When they get there, I say, "Shh! I had to make us invisible. Shh! There was a guard."
So you almost dropped us?
Korgath, you should grow wings.
Well, maybe
so
you should
can
just get
pull things like
stronger.
this.
Or learn how to cast a spell that makes me fly.
That's a lot of work.
Well, this
Doesn't work like that. My magic doesn't work like that.
Magic's magic. Now what are we gonna do?
So what's on this level of the area?
So, this reminds you a whole lot of home. So you know that at the base level would be the most natural ground. You see a whole bunch of structures and tents. You figure this is where most of the non-winged visitors would come. There are multiple stairs built on the wooden platforms all around this mountain cliff. You do know that the locate object is pulling you even further up. And one thing that's sort of resting in the back of your mind, that your Temple of Shuki back in Blade Island was constructed at the very top of your mountain as an offering to Asura. You know that the cultures and norms of the Cypresian Aarakocra are quite close to those of Blade Island.
Do I think the object would be up in the temple?
You get the inkling that it's pointing you up, yes.
It might be easier for y'all to take the stairs.
There are steps the rest of the way up.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Well, maybe y'all take the stairs and then we can kind of fly around and work as like a lookout.
Yeah,
Are you
especially
guys
since
still
we're.
invisible?
Yeah, I'm not gonna drop it yet.
I could make us, well, a couple of us invisible.
Oh yeah, make the rest of you invisible.
Yeah, no one else
Well,
is close enough for me to get a third person.
I can only get 2 of us.
Maybe the big ones? Smiley is stealthy. You're small. Maybe you can make Korgath and Haneke invisible?
I don't know if that will help the clanging.
Yeah.
Not wearing any armor.
I wasn't
Yeah, but
talking
she
about
is.
you. I was talking with the one with the giant kitchen table for a weapon.
Well, yeah, she does have that.
Don't lie, Hanneke. You know you've eaten off of it.
One moment, guys. Explorer.exe has crashed, which is always a fun time. So let me take care of that. Task manager. Task manager. Oop. All right. And there goes all of Chrome. Goodbye, Chrome.
Did your stream F out too?
I Lord knows what the stream is showing right now. My computer's struggling at the moment. I'm gonna give this baby a hard restart. I will be back in 2 minutes.